Hi train friends, welcome to the Ozark Midland Southern Railway. I'm Bill B, and I hope this video finds you doing well. Today I have a question that I need to answer. Do I paint the rails of my Lionel Fastrack or not? In the hobby, it is not uncommon for modelers to paint the rails of their track in an effort to give them a more realistic appearance. But painting the track, by and large, is a very tedious and time-consuming process, dependent somewhat on the size of your railroad, of course. So I have to make a decision on what is best for the OM&S and me. To help me answer this question, I'm going to paint the rails of 3 sections of my Fastrack using 3 different techniques. So let's get started. So our first technique will involve the use of track painters, basically painting pins. In this case, the painting pins are made by Woodland Ceedics, and there are 2 colors: rusty rail, the top color, and then steel rail. Actually, Woodland Ceedics makes a 3rd color for weathering the ties, but I'm not going to be doing that today. So let's get started here. We'll start with rusty rail. I've already kind of prepped the pins and they should be just ready to go. So you kind of see how this goes. I'm going to stop here, and then I'll let you all see the end result after I've painted both the rails. Once you've painted one rail, I think it's probably wise to go ahead and try to make sure that the tops of the rails are clear, as well as trying to get a little bit on the side here of the inner rail, the inner side of the rail, where the flanges will rub. Okay, I will get the other rail painted, and then we'll come back and take a look at it. Not too bad. The second method I'm going to use is to use a paintbrush to apply some testers flat brown and flat black to the rails. Actually, what I've done is I've actually taken some of my flat brown and mixed a little flat black with it to give me what I consider to be a little bit better rail color. And I'm going to apply this color to our outside rails and some flat black to the center rail with our paintbrushes here. I'm not really sure which paintbrush will work best. I'll start with this particular brush using the rail brown color, my mixture. Now I'll do this the same way as I did our first technique. Is I'll get it started here, and then I'll break, and then come back. I'll finish it up, then I'll come back when I've got it finished so that you can take a look at it. Okay, I'll continue on, and when I get it finished, I'll be back and we'll take a look at how it turns out. So here's our second piece of Fastrack, where we use the second method. We applied the flat enamels to our Fastrack using paintbrushes. It turned out okay. I was surprised at how difficult it was to get the to kind of get an even coverage. And the black went on better, I would say, certainly than the brown. It doesn't look bad. But there we go. Probably would get better with practice. And I could try thinning the paints out a little bit, maybe to get that better coverage. I'm not sure. We'd have to work on that. There we go. The third and final technique I'm going to show you involves spray painting the rails. It starts with masking either the center rail or the outside rails. Last night I took a section of Fastrack and I masked it using blue painter's tape, leaving only the center rail exposed. Then, using Krylon's Camouflage Ultra Flat Black, I sprayed painted the center rail. Now with the paint dry, I'll remove the masking tape. I like to kind of pull it away when it gets to removing the tape that's right next to the track. I like to kind of pull away from it to try to help avoid pulling off any paint. And there we go. With the tape removed, you see the inner rail now is blackened, except for the top surface where I removed the paint. With that completed, I'm going to now mask the track again, but only I'm going to mask the center rail and the exposed plastic roadbed, leaving only the two outside rails exposed. Well, I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll meet you out in the garage, where I'm going to apply some Krylon camouflage ultra flat brown paint. I'm going to, actually in this case, I'm actually going to decant it. That was, take the paint and put it into a cup, spray it into a cup, and then transfer the paint to my airbrush's spray bottle. I just thought I'd try that, both to demonstrate that you can use the airbrush, but also because it's a little cleaner in terms of it's not quite as messy as using the spray cans, and also, and I think generally you'll use less paint. So I'm going to go ahead and mask this piece of roadbed, this piece of track, and I'll meet you out in the garage in just a few moments. We're out in the garage at the very entrance, and I'm going to spray paint now, using my airbrush, the outside rails. Well, we're back inside. It's been about 20 minutes. One of the nice things about those ultra flat paints is that they do dry fast. So fast that I had to use a little bit of this Sunnyside Specs paint thinner to help me remove some of that paint off the tops of the rails here. And along the inside of the rail, I try to get as well where the flanges will rub up against. So now we're ready to remove the painter's tape, and we'll see how it looks all together. I would tell you that it's kind of nice to have a pair of tweezers. Sometimes they come in handy when you try to get this stuff off. Try to do this as quickly as I can here. You want to make sure to mask your connectors, or they'll be painted too, and you really don't want that. Gonna work kind of fast here again and try to pull away from the track when you're removing the tape. If you hear a little snorting in the background, a little snoring, that's my dog Sweet Pea. She's nearby, underfoot, so to speak. Okay, now we're going to kind of pull away a little bit. It's kind of hard, a little harder here, maybe perhaps. There we go. There we go. Doesn't look too bad. You can kind of see a little bit. Just going to point that out where it's kind of bled under. If you don't get that tape down really tight, that's what can happen. You can get some bleeding. Honestly, I can't tell if that's brown. I think it's black, actually. I don't see where the brown bled very much at all. But we did, okay, it turned out pretty good. Turned out pretty good. So there you go. There's our three techniques. The track painter, the enamel and paint brushes, and then spray painting some flat paint using both the rattle cans, the spray cans, as well as our airbrush. I use the airbrush on the outside rails. So there you go. Okay, train friends, I've tried the three techniques that I'm aware of to color or to paint the rails of my Fastrack. And while I've done that, I've reflected on what would be the best method to use in my situation with the OM&S. I will tell you that I thought the airbrush applied the paint the best. It looks the best in the end, but boy, it's awfully time consuming having to mask. First masking one rail and then going back and masking the other two rails. Just very time consuming. Looks good, but very time consuming. The flat enamel with the using the paint brushes, it looks okay. It looks okay. I think with practice, I could get better at it. Maybe kind of experimenting a little bit with the paint itself, but it went on kind of hard. I thought, it was kind of difficult to apply evenly. But in the final analysis, it doesn't look too bad. The track painters, I didn't really think. I don't think it looks all that great. It has a little bit of more of a satin finish to it. It seems a sheen to it. And I think it could really do with a second coat. I think with a second coat, it'd look much better. With that said, if I were actually to paint the track on the OM&S, I honestly believe I'd use the track painters. I think this is what I'd use. There you go. So. I've seriously given considerations to not only the methods, but also to whether or not, how I would answer that question, to paint or not to paint my Lionel Fastrack. And the answer is, drum roll please, I've decided not to paint. I'm not going to paint the Fastrack on the OM&S. Certainly not at this time. Things, you never know. Something could change. I know for some this comes as a surprise, but since this question recently arose while constructing 2 tunnels for the OM&S, I've given it much thought to the question. It has not been an easy question for me to answer, because I do enjoy creating a realistic environment in which to operate my trains. And in the past, I have usually painted my track. But with that said, I chose for this layout to use Fastrack, knowing that it was not the most prototypical looking track system. But it is a relatively straightforward, modern, and reliable system. Also, as much as I dislike having to say so, the process of painting the track, regardless of the technique I might choose, it was a relatively tedious and time-consuming task. And honestly, at my age, I believe I should take that into consideration as well. Others may make a different choice. I want to be able to simply have the time to enjoy building and running the OM&S. And I'm satisfied with the decision not to paint my Fastrack. Now, with that decision made, I've got some tunnels to install. I've widened the entrances to my tunnels portals. They're ready to go down onto the layout, as well as is the tunnel itself. So I'm going to get busy with that now. I've got some work to do. I want to thank the channel's subscribers for their support of the OM&S, and to thank all of you for watching. So until we meet again on the Ozark Midland Southern, do please take care. This is Bill B. Bye now.